What does that mean?
Might there be some people who would say, I understand you don't have the budget, you don't have funds to pay me to do this, but I believe in film, I think it's important to the state, and I love the story that you're creating, and yes, you can come and use my backyard, my house.
Absolutely, people say that all the time. All the
Good, I'm
time.
glad to hear
Not
that.
only do people, if they fall in love with the project, will they let you shoot at their location? They might let you use their equipment. They might actually work on your crew, depending upon how much they really love the project. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about an art form.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. So tell me a little bit about, while we're talking about those kinds of things, the location, what are some of the advantages that Connecticut has to offer in terms of locations?
Well, Connecticut is actually quite blessed. We have a plethora of different types of looks, so to speak. We have urban landscapes, we have countryside, we even have seaside. The only thing I tell people sometimes when they call up and they want to understand what types of locations we have is we got everything here but a desert, which is true.
Yeah.
Just about everything, that's true.
Yeah.
There was a great quote in the paper, I think 2 or 3 days ago, from Ron Shelton, who's hopefully going to shoot a boxing movie here. And it was just a great quote. He talked about how he can shoot Detroit in Bridgeport.
Yeah.
He can shoot New York City in Hartford, or in New Haven. And there's a lot of great looks in the De Niro Pacino movie a few years ago.
Righteous Kill.
Right. It was supposed to be taking place in New York. They shot it all in New Haven.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of really great locations here compared to other states. Whereas, you go down to Arizona, you've got,
You got plenty of desert.
you got desert, but not too much else.
Yeah.
Well, and plus we have autumn. I mean, the foliage.
Yes, we do have the
here
seasons as
is
well.
legendary.
And you have to work that out with your film. We have autumn, we have winter. If you need snow, we have that as well. So that's a great point you brought up. That's true.
Now, with all that in mind, though, I read a recent article in Variety magazine, and it was quite an extensive article, touting the state of Georgia. And as a Southern girl, I'm totally supportive of that. However, touting the state of Georgia as being the place to go to make films.
Of course, I disagree.
And
Yes.
and talked about their topography. But primarily, they said that the big reason was that Georgia has an educated and experienced workforce for filmmaking. What do we do?
Well, that very well may be. I'm not going to make any other disparaging remarks against Georgia because I do like Georgia as well, and my parents are from the South. But I will qualify that we, being here adjacent to New York City, share the same film production workforce as New York City has, and that workforce is part of the second largest production hub in the country, which is, it's Los Angeles, it's New York. So I'm happy that Georgia is doing quite well for themselves, but we have a pretty good, darn good workforce ourselves. And to that fact, specifically in Connecticut, we have what's called the Film Industry Training Program, which is something that was also intelligently enacted by the legislature, so that we, in not just having a tax credit program, we're also preparing the residents of the state of Connecticut to participate in the industry as we build the industry here. We have folks that are union laborers that work in the different divisions of labor on a film. You have your electrics, your grips, your prop people, your camera people. We teach all of those disciplines within the Film Industry Training Program. Those disciplines are called tracks. They're taught by union card holding members, and at the end of the training program, the students participate in shooting a short film. So they get everything, all of the nuts and bolts of learning what your specific department does, what you need to do, and how that manifests itself on an actual set. And the most important thing after that is that you've developed a relationship with someone who's actually a member of the union, so that when it comes time to apply for that union membership, it's very old school. Somebody needs to say, yes, you passed the test, but somebody literally needs to stand up and say, yeah, I know Peter Fox,
person,
and he's a good guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And
knows how to do the work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the
important.
FITP program sets up Connecticut residents for that specifically.
So FIT, that's Film Industry Training.
Film Industry Training Program, FITP. That we this summer we just concluded our third installation.
Now, that's
Which
the
is-
program Marty Lang
Yes.
teaches, right?
Yes.
Just to follow up on that,
Yes.
we're just scratching the surface here in Connecticut. And that fact, along with the fact that all of these films are now coming here, it seems every other month there's a major film coming here. I think that perception that maybe, you know, we have to play catch up is going to be gone very, very quickly. I mean, we're right next to New York. We've got all these major players coming here to make film. And on top of that, there are a lot of major players in the industry who live right here in Connecticut.
Indeed.
So it's really, I mean, a great time if you're trying to get into the industry. This is really a great place to be right now.
George, I want to go back to something you said a minute ago, and that was, we were talking about the training force and saying that we have the same training force as New York. Did I don't, depending on how you phrased it.
Well, we don't have the same training for us. Our film industry training program is
It's for
specifically set up
Connecticut.
by the state of Connecticut for Connecticut residents specifically. What I was saying is that the film union, which is an IATSE union that represents all of the various disciplines that you find on a film set, is based in New York City. And they have a 5-state jurisdiction, which includes the state of Connecticut.
I see.
So it's
Okay.
New York,
Okay.
Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Delaware, and I'm forgetting one, New Jersey.
Mhm.
Yeah. So and they
Okay.
have a 3,400 member local. So they're very strong. They're very powerful. They've been making lots of films and lots of television programs for quite some time. And again, no disrespect to Georgia, but I don't think they can actually keep up.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about that for a minute. That whole idea of all this film and all this television. I see studios popping up like dandelions, and I love dandelions, all over the state. I mean, they're very healthy. You can make a salad from dandelions. But there's studios all over. I mean, and Peter right there at Tripeg, that's an
Yes,
example.
indeed.
Right.
And there's studios in, let's see. You know, there's South Windsor and New London, Hampton, Stanford.
Yeah. They're popping up
Norwalk, I
everywhere.
think, too.
So are they coming here and opening studios because they recognize that this is the place to be, or is there a tax incentive for them as well? Is that part of the whole picture?
Well, there's a 3-pronged tax incentive program that I really didn't take time out to explain. We have the film production tax credit, which is earned by specific productions or films or TV shows. We have an infrastructure tax credit program, which is utilized by people who want to build facilities, sound stages, and things of that nature, which we were just talking about. And we also have the digital animation production company tax credit, which at this point in time is being used by Blue Sky Studios down in Greenwich. They did Horton Hears a Who, all the Ice Ages. So
Oh.
yeah. So,
my.
but yes, the studios. Getting back to the studios, there are entities that have absolutely taken advantage of the infrastructure tax credit, recognizing that the film production tax credit is bringing productions to the state. When you get here, everything doesn't get shot on location, so you do need to have a home, a sound stage, if you have the need for that, and people are taking advantage of that.
I want to ask both of you about a little more about the film training, about the training program. Can someone enter that program not having any experience or other training beforehand? I mean, can you really be a rank beginner and sign up for that training program?
Sure you can, absolutely.
Okay. So then when the
There's a
program is...
website, ctfilmworkforce.com,
Oh,
which gives all of the details about signing up for the film industry training program. It's held once a year during the summer. We just wrapped up the 2010 edition of that. Yeah.
all right. And when people finish the program, my understanding is that they are qualified for an entry-level position or a supportive position in some aspect of filmmaking, correct?
Absolutely. The track that they concentrated in, they actually, as I said, they tend to shoot, or they absolutely shoot, a short film before they get done. And we try to help place them on a bona fide production that's here as interns so they can get even more experience.
That's where you learn the business.
Right.
Yeah,
Really.
I can imagine. It's, learning in a classroom is one thing, but you got to get your hands.
Oh, yeah.
On-set
Yeah.
experience is what it's all
It's,
about.
yeah, really.
So, George, your office of film and television and digital media.
Yes, ma'am.
That digital media part, that was the animation part that you were talking about, correctly? Animation studios?
True.
So you know Joe Young? Do you know you?
I
you
do know Joe Young.
Because he was on the show talking about the work that he's doing, and I know he's got a studio in Hartford. So there's another studio. There's a Hartford.
But Joe is actually
animation.
preparing to shoot, I'm sorry to interrupt you,